Welcome to Reseller Recap, where we talk all things reselling across multiple platforms. Join us for real-life discussions on how we crush the elusive work-life balance. Grab a coffee and join us now. Welcome back to another episode of Reseller Recap. Today we are interviewing the famous Warner Fields. You know him, you see him online, and we are going to ask the questions that are on your mind. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this one. Warner, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Good to chat with you guys. I know we just got to meet in person not too long ago, Emily, at Miami Sellers Conference. And excited to chop it up with you guys and talk all things making money online.
Yeah. And what was your take on the Miami event? And you're native, or I guess for a couple of years, so I shouldn't say native, but you've been to previous Miami events in the past, correct?
Yeah. It's just like one of those. It's a super good kind of high energy event to be around other Amazon sellers. A lot of people, you're the alien with three eyes in your local community. If you're like you're doing what? You're driving around a bunch of stores, flipping stuff on Amazon. You're loading up the eBay account, but then you get around other people that are even crazier than you, and it's like, all right, I'm not crazy enough. Like I gotta figure out how to make more money. I gotta build this next system like that. It just makes a world of difference. And whether that's like meeting people in person, having some drinks, that kind of thing, or if it's hopping on Discord calls, Zoom calls, that kind of thing, whatever it is, like people are not taking advantage of just kind of having fun, making money online with internet friends.
Yeah, I had, that was my first Miami event, and I had too much fun. Honestly, too much fun was had, but it was a great weekend. So tell us about yourself, for people who may not know you. Like, number one, you look like you're 23. Yes, no?
I'm 25. I'll take it though.
But you've been doing this a while, right?
Yeah. So I started making money online when I was 19, like significantly. Started selling like used books on Amazon. I tried like eBay drop shipping, everything under the sun, right? Like all the stuff you see on YouTube. And then I landed on like some Reezy videos and some rake and profit videos about selling books on Amazon. And that was like my college side hustle. And then about 2 years after that, I started documenting the process on social media, just kind of showing people like what I was up to. And then that's led to lots of different opportunities since then. So I've been making videos and content for about 5 years now, I guess, and making money online for 6.
Okay. How has things changed for you in the past 6 years? Like, I know that's a big question.
Yeah.
Because I know things have changed, but like, what are the biggest changes from when you started till now?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is like I went to school for business, right? So like that's just kind of how I've always thought about it. Like some people, they're like, I want to make $1,000 a month, and that's great. Pretty easy to do that. Just like you can go to Ross a couple days a week, 1 day a week, that kind of thing. But my goal has always been to build that long-term business. So that's been the biggest change for me, right? Is 6 years ago, I'm going to the thrift stores every day. I'm messaging people on Facebook Marketplace. I'm setting up booths, buying kids textbooks from them, that kind of thing. And then over time, it's basically just been, how do I evolve this into a real business to where now, where we're working with prep centers, and I've trained people to source the products for me and buy products for me. And we've transitioned business models into a little bit of wholesale, mostly online and retail arbitrage. I know that's basically what your audience is pretty familiar with, is like going out to Walmart, that kind of thing. But that's pretty much the majority of our business. But the biggest change has been, how do I turn this, just me side hustle into a business so that I can focus on, other opportunities. And, here's a crazy thought for all us entrepreneurs that want to work all day. Maybe we get some free time back, right? Like that's a wild one for a lot of us.
Right. So, and I feel like something you touched on is sustainability, and that, like, I applaud you, because being so young, like, that's amazing that you were thinking of doing something. I don't know what I was thinking of when I was 19, but it wasn't this. So that's amazing. But I feel like that's a struggle for new sellers, for sellers who, with all the changes on Amazon, being in a place where you can sustain the success, that it's not just Q4. Like, everybody wants to come out with a course after Q4. They did it successfully, and they're like, oh, I'm a guru now. But that's 1 month, right? What do you do the rest of the month? So how were you able to sustain this success and like continue to evolve, pivot over the last couple of years?
Yeah. And I, especially, most of you guys listen and understand, like, some brands are getting, chopped off on Amazon, that kind of thing. New opportunities are opening up on places like Walmart, that kind of thing. So the biggest thing that's changed for my business strategically is probably 3 or 4 years ago, we were super heavy on maybe 5 or 6 brands, a lot of like clothing, that kind of stuff, like same stuff everyone was selling there for a little bit. It was easy money. But now that there's kind of a lot of risk in that, we started setting aside time, like myself and my virtual assistants who do some sourcing as well. We set aside time specifically to be like, all right, I know I'm going to be terrible at sourcing X brand or X category for the next hour, but then that turns into, the next big opportunities. And then if your bread and butter, if there's anything that goes wrong with that, it's like, all right, no worries. I've been spending a little bit of time exploring those new opportunities. I've been okay with being terrible, that kind of thing. And then you land on like, all right, I guess oil filters are profitable now. I guess like, random craft supplies are profitable now, right? It's not just like the obvious stuff that you're like super familiar with.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I feel like you can kind of get into a rut with selling. Like you're like, oh, this did well last year. So you just get in this place of all I do is source shoes, and you forget there's so many other categories. This brings me to I was trying to think of like the most easiest ways I could make you like feel cringy or uneasy on this podcast, honestly, because if I can make that happen, I'm like, oh my God, I win.
Hey, that's a good goal. I like it. It's out of the ordinary.
But I filtered it through people, and they were like, he's never coming back if you ask these questions. So I just want you to know, I did have other questions, and they were shot.
Now I want to know what they are.
They were shot. They were just, putting people on blast, asking you direct questions, all of the things.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do. But okay, is arbitrage dead? What is your take on arbitrage? Because I feel like wholesale has been looking down to arbitrage forever. Like they don't even want to be in the same room with us just in case it rubs off. So what is your take on this? Is it dead? Is it coming to an end on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been selling for a couple years as well. The day you started, arbitrage was dead online too, right? And then you do it, and it's like, oh wait, no, I'm feeding the family with this now. Like, all right, it's dead. You guys can say it's dead, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's always like, it's just, I think it's human nature. Like what you're doing feels like, oh, there's nothing better. This is my favorite thing, right? So the wholesalers are like, arbitrage sellers can't make any money, and then private label sellers are like, oh, these wholesale guys don't have their own brand, they don't have any asset, that kind of thing, right? So it's just like whatever you can see yourself sticking with for a long time and enjoy doing. I think that's what you should be doing and should be making money doing. Has arbitrage gotten harder since 2020 when we could list literally anything, list a tablet of chlorine for like 20x what you paid for? Yeah, of course.
Right.
But like there's still a ton of opportunity, and I think like the historical notion I go back to is arbitrage is like it's like the second oldest profession behind something we won't mention on YouTube, but second oldest profession is just arbitraging stuff, right? Buying and selling for more. So that's not going anywhere. If it's maybe it's not on Amazon in 5 years, maybe it's Walmart, maybe it's a new marketplace, that kind of thing. But the skill of figuring out how to buy stuff cheap and sell it for more convenient places, that's not going anywhere.
Right. I agree. What are things that you've sold in the past that you're like, I can't believe I got away with that? Like, I definitely have some that I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm so glad I wasn't posting that on social. Like, it just seemed fine in the moment. Or you're new at it. Maybe it wasn't like ethically wrong, but you're like, I sold on, like, I should never sold under that brand or that SKU or whatever. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of cases like that where you start out and because you're small, you're flying under the radar. Like, I don't know if I can think of anything specific right now. I've definitely
you're scared, aren't you?
Honestly, I sell a lot of the same stuff we've been selling since like 5 years ago. It's just kind of stacking opportunities and that kind of thing. But definitely sold some brands that it's like I look at it now, it's like the brand is all over that. Like Amazon's selling it. What am I thinking? And some of those I did learn my lesson, and you got to look at those as like the tuition of learning how to sell on Amazon is you spend $1,000 here. I think the worst mistake I ever made cost me like $5 or $6 grand. So all things considered, I'm happy with paying a $6,000 education cost there. Factoring in the last 5 years, but you can definitely make some mistakes if you're not careful.
And that's an interesting topic because I work with a lot of new sellers, and it's like their first mistake first bad review, mean comment, and they're like, oh, I wasn't made to do this. And that's something because this industry especially sharing it on social media and sharing with your family, anybody, you can receive a lot of backlash, hate, and maybe I don't know if it's been the same for you as for us. Like that would be interesting if it's not, because I have my own theories on that. But like, do you get that? Do you get that backlash? Do your parents understand? What's your take?
Yeah, no, I think that's like you kind of hit on a second there. Like I think that's the biggest thing that makes just successful entrepreneurs in general, especially on Amazon, is the people that are willing to be like, oh, they declined my ungate. Okay, let me submit it again, right? Not like, oh, time to give up, right? Like, oh,
Right.
my friend thinks I'm weird. Time to give up, right? It's like, no, just double down. And like, you know what you're doing works. You can see, people succeeding doing what you're wanting to do. And for me, like, you're talking like support systems. Luckily, my family's always been super supportive. I'm not, my family like set aside a bedroom in their house that I was using as a warehouse for a while. Like, I'm very appreciative
Wow.
of my
Wow,
parents helping
that's
me out.
amazing.
It was like my childhood bedroom. Like, sure, you can use it as a warehouse, that kind of thing. Cause I was living in the same town and going to college there. So that was like the warehouse. So I've always been lucky to have a good support system. Definitely had some like, so what are you doing? Like, not fully
Yeah.
understanding, but I can't complain. Definitely some good support systems.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
What does for I mean, I'm sure this has also changed throughout the years, but I'm interested. We were talking about this. I think I was talking about this earlier on an interview. What does winning look like for you like now? I think when we start, it's orange bars. You're like
Sure. Yeah.
figuring out your profit. You're like, this is it, and you work yourself to death. But after you've
Yes.
been doing this a while, what are you at the end of the day? You're like, that was a good day. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so my primary focus is growing my Amazon business and then also, like you guys helping as many Amazon sellers as possible, right? So on the Amazon side of things, it's a good day if at this point, like if I had to spend basically little or no time and I see the team spent, $5,000-10,000 on products, right? Like Amazon side, great, team's firing away, that kind of thing. What really gets me fired up now, kind of the long-term goals, is continuing to build things like Boxem and Sellerant for Amazon sellers. So the more just kind of good feedback I'm seeing on that kind of stuff, and we roll something new out and people are loving it, that kind of thing. Those are probably my favorite days now, is just kind of being able to have that win-win, especially on you guys have great education resources. We're working on software. Just when you make those win-wins in the community, that's way more fulfilling than like, oh, orange bar goes up. It's like, no, I get to make a little bit of money and this person just quit their job and they get more time with their kid and that kind of thing. That's the biggest win.
Right. And
Totally agree.
you mentioned like Seller Amp, and Morgan, feel free to jump in. I know I'm just launching over
Yeah,
you.
you are.
I'm sorry. I have it. Don't worry. You can go next, okay? One of my questions were like, what are the tools you recommend for new sellers? So that's probably a good segue into Seller Amp and Boxem. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah. So fundamental tools. Everybody knows a needs Keepa, of course, kind of the backbone. SellerAmp is how I figure a lot of you guys are already like sourcing products, calculating fees, that kind of stuff. We've also rolling out SellerAmp for Walmart here pretty quick as well, so that'll be fun. I'm excited to talk about selling on Walmart, that kind of thing. And then you also Boxem's good for Amazon business. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I know I'm very confident we have the best like shipment process. Fastest way to send things off to Amazon, that kind of thing. And you can also like track your profit analytics and lots of super fun stuff in the works there. We're building the team pretty quickly here to add on a whole bunch of extra value for you guys. And then the other tool that new sellers might want, especially after you have like 5 or 10 products, is like a repricer. There's lots of good repricers out there, like a Be Cool and Aura, maybe a Seller Snap once you're like really established as a seller. But that's just kind of personal preference on that.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you been selling on Walmart? I know we talked about this a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the Walmart account for a year-ish at this point, but it was one of those where every Amazon seller had the Walmart account. It's like, I'm making a bunch of money here, and then I got this Walmart account. So I've been like actively selling stuff for probably 6 months at this point. Nothing crazy, still mostly focused on Amazon, but excited to crank because I'm definitely going to be cranking things up on Walmart once that Selling for Walmart tool comes out.
Okay,
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I think too many people are saying it's like, oh, it's Amazon 10 years ago, right? Like it's still like it's not quite that, but it's it's smaller volume, that kind of thing. But I've been using it. It's a really solid kind of backup marketplace right now. I'm excited to see if like they're able to attract a lot more customers and that kind of thing, and see if the volume does get to Amazon. But the biggest thing right now is, hey, this Amazon listing, like somebody changed the picture, I can't get it fixed, that kind of thing. I don't want to deal with calling seller support 12 times. I'll just sell it on Walmart and bang, right? You got your money back, you got a little bit of profit rolling in. But there's still lots of like brand new opportunities on Walmart as well. Going to be diving into that a lot more aggressively. But any Amazon sellers who just have an Amazon account watching this, you should definitely just get that backup marketplace going.
Right. I remember like 3 years ago, I was on your podcast and Walmart was new and you guys were like, I don't know. Should people be moving to Walmart? And I was like, yes. I have been
It's funny.
like
Yep.
ride or die with Walmart for years. Nobody's talking about it. I feel like the last year things really took off. So I totally agree. Everybody should be you need to diversify, bottom line. And with all of the Amazon suspensions and things happening, always have a backup plan.
Yeah, for
Totally
sure.
agree.
Yeah, it can never hurt to have a couple extra revenue streams, right? Like that's why we all started selling stuff online. We all started the Amazon business, the eBay business, whatever it is, because you want that extra revenue stream. And that's even like that's what we were talking about, kind of big picture in our talk at Miami Sellers Conference is like, what is your specialty that you can create that next income stream with? Whether that's just open another Walmart account, whether that's maybe you're a computer engineer and you can create some like small tool that helps your business and I can sell that for a little bit of money, that kind of thing, right? Like there's so many opportunities where like that foundational scale of selling products on Amazon can apply to new marketplaces, new ideas, kind of vertical integration, that kind of thing that uses those baseline ideas that makes you a lot more money long run.
Right. Right. What is going back to Amazon? What are some things happening? There's been so many changes on this platform, as everybody knows. And I think it's been the big push for a lot of sellers to move to Walmart.
Sure.
What are some major changes happening on Amazon that make you like sick, that are top two that you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening?
Yeah. I think the most like egregious, just horrible policy change is the like the new like reimbursement policy. Like I don't know if you guys have seen that too much, where it's like where it used to be they lose your inventory, you get paid like you made a sale, which makes a ton of sense to me, right? Now it's you get paid for the cost, and if they don't agree with your cost, then you have to argue with them. That one seems very egregious, and I think that is an example of how Amazon's either going to have to give sellers a little bit back, or they're going to get steamrolled by Walmart sellers, and especially I don't know. I was looking at, like the Walmart signups compared to Amazon signups and how much money they're making. Like, I think Amazon's going to have to start, making some concessions in sellers' favors here.
Right.
That's probably the most egregious. And then one that I think is holding the most sellers back right now is like raising the ungating requirements, right? To like 100 units, 400 units, that kind of thing. As a heads up, like we're still using 10 units. A lot of people are still using 10 units, and it's finding success. For those of you guys watching, if that's holding you back. A lot of the people at Amazon, I assume, are still trained on 10 and improving at that. But you're that new seller. You see, I have to buy 400 of this. I'm not spending $2,000 to sell this one new brand. I can only buy 5 units of this, right? And then they quit. I think that's kind of one of the bigger walls for new sellers right now.
We definitely see that a lot in the community.
Yeah,
where people are struggling to get ungated, and just like a category like grocery, like they are having a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think they lost a lawsuit not too long ago because there was so much fake stuff. Like I don't know if you guys were selling like I remember I was selling some Nike stuff in 2023 or 2022. I don't remember exactly which. It was like Christmas, and there was a bunch of sellers from Turkey. Not that people from Turkey can't be selling legit stuff, but it was all Turkish sellers that were like $10 below like what everyone else was buying at. So it's like these are not real products. And so like real sellers couldn't get in and compete. Buyers are like, this is not a real product when they're buying it. So then, it creates some like overcompensation by Amazon. And that's actually where like section 3 violations and that kind of thing started coming around after that. Which, if you do have a section 3, if you guys ever get that, it doesn't mean you did anything bad, by the way. You just got to prove that you're buying legit stuff. But it's just kind of those little headaches that Amazon can throw at you now.
And you mentioned like sustaining, and you have a whole team now. How did you work your business into bringing on like VAs and support and moving from like a 1-person team to expanding?
Yeah, I mean the easy litmus tests for those of you guys watching, if you're like, man, I'm making decent money, like I could afford to hire somebody. And then the really easy one is, all right, I know exactly how I'd spend another 40 hours this week, but I don't have the time and money is not my bottleneck, right? There's basically zero reason why you shouldn't bring on some help at that point. And that's where I was. Like I started hiring when I was a college kid. I was in classes. I was loading up the seller amp in class, sourcing through some pages. Kids behind me are probably like, what is this guy looking at on these graphs on Amazon pages and stuff? But I was like, all right, I got to pay attention in class a little bit better, that kind of thing. And we were making decent money on Amazon. So it's like, all right, it's time to hire a virtual assistant. It wasn't quite as talked about back then. I was like, I've seen these guys talking about like hiring people from the Philippines and that kind of thing. Let me look into that. And then just was able to train somebody. Hey, here's exactly how I would spend in their 40 hours. Check this website, do this exact process. Like, a lot of people jump in. They're like, I want to run a business before I understand every single step in detail. And then they hire everything out. It's like, why isn't it profitable? It's like, well, the person in charge of it doesn't know how to do anything.
Yes. That's something I see. When you post a lot on social media, I think people get the idea that this is quick. It's like 1, 2, 3, you should be profitable by the end of the month. And then the burnout or the disappointment after 1 month. And that is a problem too, that I find people setting up repricers too soon, hiring VAs, and they don't even understand the pricing structures of the platform. And then they're like, where's all of my money at the end of the day? So it's difficult. I think it's difficult scaling and all of these little parts, because most of us didn't go to school for this. Like, we didn't go to school to figure out how to run our books and build a business. And so we're learning it firsthand. You mentioned you had a huge loss, like a $5,000 loss. What was that?
Yeah. So for me, like the biggest mistake I ever made was super simple. Like I'd spot it in 4 seconds now. And that's how most of you new sellers are you're gonna look back at those products. And really good habit to get in, by the way, is write down what you were thinking when you were buying that item, especially early days, that first month or two. Just 2 sentences on your thought process. Like, I like the seller trend. I like the price consistency. I think I'll be able to sell before the price drops, that kind of thing, right? And on this item, I bought it, and we all, if you've been selling Amazon for any time, to look at the buy box stats and make sure that there's multiple sellers making sales. I didn't do that, and I bought a whole bunch of these like kitchen knives, and no matter what price I put it at, the brand and like one other distributor was just getting all the sales. Like, my account was tiny at the time. Theirs was huge. They'd been on the listing for forever. And I just wasn't having too much success selling that. So basically everyone in my family has those in their kitchen now. Everybody got a nice set of kitchen knives for Christmas. but lesson learned for sure.
That is one thing. Our kids, between Morgan and I, we have like a football team of kids. They have the best Christmases because we have so many returns. We have those leftover toys. They're like, oh, we know that this is going to somebody's birthday or Christmas. So I will say that's a big plus to this business. That's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, we always I'm always popular at family Thanksgiving and Christmas because I bring a box full of vitamins and clothes and all kinds of random stuff. And I throw it on the floor after everyone's done giving presents, stuff like, here's for free. Take as much of this you want, please.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And as far as like, you want to make sure you guys are getting as much money as possible out of that stuff that is coming back, because that can be a really big problem. Like the first year I started really paying attention to not only the stuff that's coming back, what can I sell elsewhere? How can I get some money back out of that? But also, you'd be surprised how many times you'll buy 10 units from Walmart and they'll ship you 9. Like, you can't just assume that these big retailers know exactly what's in every box. Like, they're making mistakes too. So like the first year I actually paid attention and really started dialing in. Generally, I've been a fan of, scale first, run the numbers, that kind of thing later. Like, and that's how a lot of successful entrepreneurs run. But maybe I waited a little bit too long to start auditing that inventory, because as soon as I did, I realized that we'd been shorted like $20,000 worth of stuff in 1 year, which is simple to get around. So if you guys are buying a good amount of stuff, just send an email to like that customer service, that kind of thing. At this point, you can have AI say, hey, draft an email to customer service, find me the customer service email. They shorted me X units. And that took down that leakage number by like 80-90% for us. But really simple on that. Just wanted to drop a little bit of a PSA on the topic of kind of those returns and that kind of thing.
And that's a big issue on Walmart, because you don't have, there's so many tools out there now that will hook up to your Amazon account and find where are you losing money? Like, just easier ways that you don't have to go through each sale, each buy, but you don't have many options on Walmart. So I think that's what's holding people back, a lot of it, because it's like you are doing all of the work. There's nobody else there's not a software yet who can do that for you. Morgan, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know I do. Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I just said yet.
Yes.
Don't give me any good ideas now. Don't give me any good ideas.
Yes.
Hey, it's needed on the platform. Okay, so you talked about how you have VAs. What would be like your top 3 tips when hiring a VA?
So a lot of, especially like, I'm just gonna assume a lot of people are thinking about hiring from like the Philippines, that kind of thing. The biggest thing, I'm just gonna zero in on that, is a lot of, especially like Filipinos, are afraid to like ask questions, that kind of thing. They're afraid to like push back on authority, that kind of thing. And they might be really good at an interview, but they're very obviously like reading off a screen, that kind of thing. So the biggest thing is in that interview process and that first week you're working together. If they are, pushing back or adding their own ideas, or in that interview, you're like, I always like to kind of try to bring up something I know they won't know about. Like if you tried this type of product sourcing before, or, tell me about like a cool product you found. And you can really see how passionate they are about like learning new things and being coachable, that kind of thing, versus just, I took this 4-week training course with somebody in the Philippines and they showed me all the basics of how to use Keepa. And now I'm going to go on and add 2 leads a day and I'm going to hop off. Right. So like find those people that are excited to learn and then set them up to succeed. And like what that is for me and my business is we share like a percentage of profit that they're able to find on those leads. So that's going to discourage them from trying to work for multiple people. And it's going to encourage them to work, that extra 30 minutes. If they're right on the trail of something profitable, it's like, hey, let me see if I can dig in here. And I've paid out some pretty sizable bonuses, especially like compared to, salaries and that kind of thing. If you just got to set your people up to succeed and find the right people.
Love that.
Yeah. So are you doing your own payroll or do you have a company doing your payroll?
No, I run it. It's simple. I'll just, just use like a Wise or Remitly, one of those, hop on there. And then just, I'll run a quick report. It takes 20 minutes to, I'll just download all the ASINs and how much profit it made, from Boxum. That compares to their spreadsheets of all the ASINs they found. It's like, hey, this is your ASIN. Here's how much profit your ASIN made. And then those ASINs go basically back in the pool for somebody new to source after 6 months is how we do it, so that they can make some money on the restocks as well. So if you find a really good item that we can buy over and over again, that's a good item for me. So I want to make that a good item for them too. So they get to make the money on the restock over and over again, and just kind of use it's not too crazy Excel, just pay out a bonus based on that and, do it next month.
Very interesting. Are you selling on eBay too, or any other platforms?
Yeah. eBay is probably like the third biggest behind Walmart. Maybe not even too far behind Walmart right now. That's all the returns go on eBay basically. Anything that has like the slight scuff, that kind of thing, anything you can't clean up, you can sell the majority of that on eBay. And then the stuff that's not even eBay worthy, that's the family Christmas box. So clearly I love my family, right? They're getting the stuff that's not even good enough for eBay. But yeah, we'll throw it on eBay, and then we drop prices on everything by 5% a week until it sells, because you don't want it to be there forever. People snipe some good deals from the eBay store there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good idea.
Okay, Emily, back to you.
I know I keep interrupting you, and this is a problem because I'll ask questions of people and then I never give them time to ask. I'm just steamrolling everybody. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up, but I want to ask you some really personal, intrusive questions. I'm just joking.
Interesting. You want medical history, social security number, mother's maiden name.
What's your sign?
That is Emily. If you don't know, that is Emily. She wants to know everything.
I need to bond with people on a spiritual level. Okay, so it's not the worst thing. What is the worst reseller trend or take you have seen blow up online? And if you include names, that's bonus.
I mean, there's the obvious stuff like, buying a Lamborghini from selling on Amazon, that kind of thing. Like all the smartest Amazon sellers I know are driving like a Camry, maybe a Tesla, that kind of thing. And because all their money's inventory. I think like, most of you guys are not going to fall into that trap. So like the more serious one I'd say is, like a lot of people will try to start a business on a credit card. And you'll see like, especially a lot of like younger people, like they're like, oh, I'm going to take a 0 interest credit card and spend $10,000 that I don't have on it. Right. And then, oh, I made $3,000 for the bad buys, and oh, another 3,000 broke even. And then now I'm in the hole and I still don't have any money. Right. So like the biggest thing is, don't fall into that trap, right? Like if you're going to start leveraging debt, make sure you know exactly what you're going to buy, how much it's going to sell for. You got your sea legs. That's probably the biggest like actual trend that I see too many people falling for.
So what do you want to say to your peers who are continuing this narrative that Lamborghinis and orange bars are the standard? Go ahead, speak truthfully.
That's funny. I mean, the people who push that and the type of people that like buy into that, you know, let's check in with each other in 10 years. That's what I'll say. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
we'll see who's
fine.
leading a more fulfilling life.
Period. Okay. You're so nice. You are so nice. I love that. You're not from the Midwest, are you?
I'm from Arkansas, so kind of.
Okay, because you are so
Okay.
nice. That's a Midwest trait. Like we could never just
Yeah.
ask somebody.
I'm from Arkansas, and then I lived in Wisconsin for a few years, so I'm sure it
Oh, you're not
that
far from me.
that takes away the ability to to call some people out, I think, something like that.
Right. You're like, okay, let me just
It's
not
funny.
have any drama. You've been around on social media a while, and you haven't had any like scandals, have you?
I mean, if you're doing something correctly, you're always going to have your fair share of people that think you're a scammer, that kind of thing, right? But like,
Yeah.
you know, you can.
You know, sometimes you hear like weird things, but do you like how I'm just putting you on the spot? Like, come and share all these scandals that have been. Okay, I'll stop. I'll pull it together. Warner, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time, and this is great.
Absolutely. Great to talk with you guys. And all you guys watching, go buy something profitable right now. Right now. Go
Yes.
click away.
Right now.
After you subscribe to these guys, subscribe and then go buy something profitable right now.
And tell everyone where they can find you. We'll post all the links, but just shout out everything.
Yeah. It's just Fields of Profit on all platforms. You know, 1,000+ YouTube videos, Instagram. Shoot me a DM if you guys need any questions, anything like that. Always happy to help you guys out.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great
Thank
one.
you.
See you guys.
Bye.